Hello, dear student. Myself, Professor Ashok Kumar, and I am working in Department of Mechanical Engineering at Dr. Subhash Technical Campus. First of all, you are warm welcome to my video lecture, and today's chapter that we are going to discuss is chapter number 3 from the subject Basic Mechanical Engineering. Look at the title of this chapter, and that is the property of gases. So various properties and its interrelation with each other that we will discuss through this entire lecture. Properties may be the temperature, pressure, enthalpy, entropy, or volume, and its changes occur due to various external application of heat or whatever the work done. So the entire chapter contains the property relation, and we should start with our first and most important topic, that is vapor gas and perfect gas. Basically, the term vapor is very famous, and everyone you have listened numbers of times terms vapor. So it should be start with its definition, and look at the screen. There is a definition of vapor: the state of any substance at which the evaporation from the liquid state is incomplete. This is the word, the perfect definition of vapor. It clearly means that the state of substance, if you are finding and which is having incompletion of evaporation, that will be known as a, we can say that it is a vapor. Suppose you have a liquid, 1 liter of water, and you are supplying heat to it, but due to we can say that if you are not supplying proper amount of heat, it may possible that you from the water there will be a production of two-phase mixture, like whatever the steam generated due to insufficient heat that you have supplied, whatever the steam produced having the two-phase mixture of liquid as well as the steam or gas. So ultimately, vapor refers actually to two-state or two-phase mixture. Little bit portion of that mixture contains gaseous form, whereas the remaining portion contains liquid. And of course, we have seen in case of the chapter steam boiler that generally steam may be the dry saturated, wet steam may be the wet, steam may be the superheated. So if you are talking and observing the wet steam, then you will find that there is a two-phase mixture that wet steam has. One phase wet steam has is of the liquid droplets, other phase is generally gaseous. So we can say that the vapor not contains the fully, or we can say the 100% of gas. It contains two-phase mixture. So anyhow, it can be not considered as a gas. So gas law is not applicable in case of vapor. But when you are supplying more and much amount of heat to vapor, it may possible that vapor is converted into superheated condition. So superheated gas or superheated steam will be nearly equal to or considered or term or treated as a gas. So now if you have superheated steam, it will all the laws of the, we can say that gases can be applicable in case of superheated steam. Now, a few example of vapor is of steam. We can say that steam is a kind of vapor. Carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, ammonia, all contains two-phase mixture. So it will be known as a simply vapor. After that, there is a other term, and that is the gas. And it is very similar definition-wise as compared to vapor. Look at the definition. Uh, the state of any substance at which the evaporation from the liquid state is complete. We have seen that in case of vapor evaporation, if you are finding incomplete evaporation of liquid is there, then vapor is formed. But you are supplying sufficient amount of heat, then whatever the evaporation is taking place, have the pure one substance, one phase mixture, and that will be known as a gas. So that is the very common thing, that you, if you are supplying enough heat and converting liquid to pure gaseous form, that will be treated as a gas. Generally, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, etc. may be regarded as a gases. Generally, if we are talking about the gas, then there will be a perfect molecular mobility, the gaseous molecular. That means uh, it can be expanded, it can be contracted by the application of external force, because molecules have the full mobility to move from one place to other place. Second thing that about gas that we should to discuss is that it has neither a defined volume or nor a shape, because molecular is totally free to move. So it it has not any kind of specific volume or shape. And generally, gas is made either from single atoms or monoatoms, or it may have the compounding of different kinds of elements. So this is what about the gas and its characteristics. After that, there is one more term, that is the perfect gas. Generally, perfect gas is the gas which obeys the very famous law, Boyle's and Charles law, under all condition of pressure and temperature. Generally, gas is such a gas is known as a perfect gas. So, in simply, if you have a gas which obeys the Charles and Boyle's law, it will be known as a perfect gas. But in actual condition, you are not finding any gas which obeys the both of the law for various condition. But yes, for the practical purpose, for the theoretical analysis, we are considering oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, etc. as a perfect gas. But generally, all that oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen gases are known as a real gas. So this is what about the first topic, about vapor, about gas and perfect gas. After that, we are going to discuss very much important law, basically Boyle's law and Charles law. Starting with the Boyle's law, look at the statement of Boyle's, what he has done. The volume of a given mass of a perfect gas varies inversely as the absolute pressure when the temperature is constant. It clearly means that the volume and uh, say pressure has the inverse relation, but this inverse relation maintains whenever you keep the temperature as a constant property. So over here, look at the diagram. There is the volume versus pressure relation diagram, and if you are increasing pressure, or we can say that if you are decreasing the pressure, your volume is going to be increased. In reverse manner, if you are decreasing volume, simultaneously pressure is going to be decreased. But in particular, to perform this operation, temperature is always remain constant. Then and then this inverse relation between volume and pressure may be possible. Look at the figure nearby the graph of a PV relation. There is a two vessel that you have given, and in which specifically over here pressure is remain constant in both of the cases. So in that case, we can say that pressure is maintained constant for the, any thermodynamic process. But over here, temperature is T1 in case of first vessel. In second vessel, the temperature becomes twice as that of the first of all by applying heat over here. So in this particular example, there is no any kind of the temperature that is remain constant. So over here, what happens? If you are supplying heat, ultimately you are increasing the temperature, your volume will be going to be increased. So this is what about law from the Boyle's statement. Basically, this law is invented by Robert Boyle in 1661, and as what he, according to his statement, the relation between pressure and volume is like that. Pressure is inversely proportional to volume, so equation will become P1 or P or P2 as per the state position of substance. P1 is inversely proportional to volume, so it will become P1 proportional 1 upon V. And whenever you are removing that proportionality limit, you will have the constant. So P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2 is equal to P into V. So this is what about Boyle's law. be sure in case of Boyle's law, whenever you are performing, temperature should be remain constant, and then you will have the inverse relationship between pressure and volume properties. After that, there is one more gas law, and that is invented by um, Jacques Charles in 1787. And he has given the statement like, if any gas is heated at constant pressure, the change in volume varies directly with the temperature. Now, in place of keeping temperature as a constant property in case of Boyle's law, now just you have to maintain the constant parameter or property as a pressure. So what happens with the remaining two property like volume and temperature? It is increase or decrease with proportionality relation with each other. That means if you are heating any gas by keeping constant pressure, the whatever the volume of that particular gas varies, it will be directly proportional with respect to temperature. It clearly means that if you are supplying heat and if the gas temperature is going to be increased, of course, volume will also increase. So this is the relation, direct relation between volume and temperature. But prime condition is that, and if you are following Charles' law, gas should be heated at constant pressure, and then you will have the proportional relation between volume and temperature. This statement can be easily and very simply represented through volume versus temperature diagram. Look at the diagram. If you are increasing temperature, proportionality volume is going to be increased. But the condition is that the pressure of that substance or gas should be remain constant. Now look at the nearby figure that you have given. If you are looking carefully, then there is a two beaker you have given, two vessel is given in which beaker number one, volume of V1 of the particular gas is filled, and in order to measure the temperature, there is one thermometer is placed nearby it. Actually, it is piston and cylinder assembly. So this is cylinder, and piston is reciprocating inside it. Now, in order to follow the Charles law, first of all, you have to maintain the pressure property as a constant. So over here, the weight of the piston that is mounted over the inside the cylinder is same in both of the cases. So we can say that the pressure is equal in both of the cases. So first condition that the pressure should be remain constant, that we have over here maintained. So pressure is a constant in both of the piston and cylinder assembly. Now, if you are heated, or if you are supplying heat through this, we can say that burner, then it may possible that the temperature will be increased. So over here, this is the initial position, this is the final position. Still, you are increasing temperature by supplying more amount of heat, and if you are measuring, then look at the thermometer, the temperature is already increased. If temperature is increased, and you meanwhile, if you are measuring the volume with initial position of that particular piston and cylinder assembly, look at the volume that is occupied by gas at the end of the step 2 or the process. So over here, volume is also increased. Volume was initially like that, and after completion of process, volume is going to be increased in such a manner. So here we can conclude that temperature is also increased and volume is also increased. So if you are increasing temperature, your volume will also be going to be increased. But the condition is that pressure should be remain constant. By over here, we have maintained this property pressure constant throughout the process by putting the piston weight equal in both of the cases. So this is the Charles law. It's just a statement, and we can say that explanation. Now, if you require to convert this statement in terms of mathematical equation, then we know that there is a relation of volume and temperature is the direct proportionality. So we can say that in case of first state or second state, in case of first state, we write like that: volume is directly proportional with respect to temperature. If you are removing this proportionality limit, then the new equation will be like that: V1 upon T1 is equal to, say, constant. Similarly, for the state number 2, you can also have the relation V2 upon T2 is equal to constant. So ultimately, by equating both of the equation or the ratio of volume upon temperature from the both of the state, you will have V1 upon T1 is equal to V2 upon T2. So this is the mathematical relation that can be derived with the help of Charles law. After that, after discussion on Boyle's law and Charles law, there is one more types of law that it is very important, and that is a combined gas law. Actually, its name gives the meaning of or the outcome or conclusion of this law, combined gas law. In actual condition, in practical things, if we are talking about the power plant, or if we are talking about refrigeration system or many places, it may never possible that the either Boyle's law or Charles law alone can be applicable, because in case of Boyle's law, temperature must be remain constant, where in case of particularly if we are talking about the Charles law, then pressure must be remain constant. But in actual condition, it may not always necessary that either you should to keep property of gas like temperature constant one time, other time you have to keep the property of pressure is constant. It may possible that the combined effect is comes, that means you have to simultaneously keep the constant of both of the properties like temperature and pressure. So at that time, in such a practical aspect, both of the law cannot be applicable there. So in order to overcome this difficulty, there is a one law, combined gas law, come to pictures. So look at the diagram first. You have given one PV diagram, and particularly there are two process number 1 to 2 and process number 2 to 3. Over here, if you are looking process number 1 to 2, then you have seen that in particular process number 1 to 2, pressure is remain constant. So we can write like P1 is equal to P2. One more thing about the process number 1 to 2 is that this process belongs to Charles law, because in case of Charles law, pressure we have kept as a constant property. So process number 1 to 2, we can say that it is belongs or related with Charles law. If we are talking about process number 2 to 3, then look at the curve 2 to 3, that is the process 2 to 3, in which the relation of pressure and volume is inverse. That means if you are decreasing pressure, of course volume will be increased. So ultimately we can say that this particular process 2 to 3 is belongs from the Boyle's law, because in Boyle's law the relation between pressure and volume is inverse. So over here 2 to 3 process will be performed by using Boyle's law, because temperature through this 2 to 3 will always remain constant. So over here in this diagram there are basically two process. 1 to 2 is representation of we can say that Charles law, whereas process number 2 to 3 is representing Boyle's law. Now consider m kilogram of mass, and you have to analyze the various property. So over here, as we know that 1 to 2 process represent Charles law. So by considering process number 1 to 2, applying Charles equation to process number 1 to 2, you will find that V1 upon T1 is equal to V2 upon T2. And the further simplification of this equation gives V1 upon T1 is equal to V2 upon T3. There is one change that has been made. T2 is replaced with respect to T3, because we know that if you are measuring temperature T2 by using thermometer over here, it will be very same, not very same, but exactly same to the temperature that you have measured at step 3, because 2 to 3 process is constant temperature process. a particular 2 to 3 process is performed by keeping the temperature as a constant property, because this represents the Boyle's law, and we know that in the Boyle's law temperature is remain constant. So we can say that T2 is easily replaceable with T3. So this is about the process number 1 to 2. We have derived the relation V1 upon T1 is equal to V2 upon T3. Now similarly consider the process number 2 to 3. That means this process you have to take care of it and apply the Boyle's law. So according to Boyle's law, it will become P2 V2 is equal to P3 V3. Now there is one change that has been made, and that is that over here P2 is replaced with respect to P1. So ultimately equation becomes P1 V2 is equal to P3 V3. This is so because if you are looking for the process number 1 to 2, then we can say that in process 1 to 2, it is a constant pressure process. So whatever the pressure at point 2, that means P2 is always equal to pressure at point 1. So we can write that P2 is equal to P1. So over here we have replaced P2 by putting the values of P1. Now after that, convert this equation in terms of V2. So you will have the values of V2 is equal to P3 upon V3 upon P1. Now put the values of V2 in that particular equation. So you will have relation like that. P1 V1 upon T1, that is equal to P3 V3 upon T3. So this equation generally represents the equation of state, and it clear mean that the ratio of product of pressure and volume to the temperature remain throughout constant irrespective of state. So if you have the pressure and volume and temperature value at different states, and you are if you are calculating the ratio, then it will be always equal to each and every state. So this is the equation of state, and generally in general form we can write equation of state in this manner: PV upon T is equal to constant. Now PV upon T is this constant is actually represented by R, and the R is the gas constant, where suppose we are using the same relation for the m kilogram of mass, then your equation will become PV is equal to MRT. So this equation is known as the characteristic equation of gas. So dear student, this was the combined gas law we have discussed. After that, there is a point number 3 that we are going to discuss, and that is on the relation between specific heats. Before deriving the relation of the specific heats, you should know about the definition of specific heat, or what is actually specific heat. Well, the definition is that the quantity of heat required to raise the temperature of unit mass of substance by 1 degree, that is known as a specific heat. That means suppose you have any substance of unit mass, that means substance have the 1 kilogram of mass, or you can say that 1 gram or 1 kilogram whatsoever, but it should be having the unit mass. So suppose you require that mass to increase 1 degree centigrade temperature, and you should to apply or supply some amount of heat. So whatever heat required to raise the temperature of that particular substance of 1 degree, and if you are measuring that particular heat, then it will be known as a specific heat. The quantity of heat that is required to raise the temperature of that particular mass, unit mass, by 1 degree is always known as a specific heat. Now, you have given two positions, or we can say that two state of one common piston and cylinder assembly. Left hand side diagram, look at the left hand side diagram, in which the volume is kept as a constant parameter, whereas on right hand side the pressure is remain constant for the process whatsoever is taken in that particular piston and cylinder assembly. Volume is always remain constant whenever you are putting some extra force or extra weight over here. So piston will not move in upward or downward direction, and this entire volume will remain same throughout the operation. That means if you are supplying heat to piston and cylinder assembly, or we can say that the gas that is trapped inside the piston and cylinder assembly, you are supplying more heat, then volume of that particular piston and cylinder will not increase, because over here uh, an additional load that has been mounted over the piston. So due to that load, piston will not move. So we can say that in particular this process, there will be no change of volume. Similarly, if you are removing this additional weight and you are supplying heat to gas which is present inside the piston and cylinder assembly, so due to heat, or we can say that the supplement of heat, a temperature of the entire gas will be increased, and in that way piston will move in upward direction by traveling the distance like dx. So in that case, we have keep the pressure as a constant parameter, not volume. In that case, we have keep the volume as a constant parameter, and we have supplied the heat. Now, in conclusion, we can say that heat can be added by keeping the constant volume, and heat can be added also by keeping the pressure as a constant parameter. Now, if you are calculating whatever that you have supplied heat, then from the first law of thermodynamics, it's very easy to calculate whatever the amount of heat that you have supplied. And according to first law, heat is always equal to the summation of change in internal energy plus change in work. Also, there is other equation of heat is also there, and that is very simple, and everyone we have listened a numbers of times, that is mcp delta t. That means if you are writing the same equation for the unit mass for the change of heat, then dq becomes cp into dt. So this is both of the equations. Dq is equal to du plus dw, and also dq is equal to cp plus dt. Now, if you are putting the values of dq over here, or you are equating both of the equation of the change in heat, then it will become look like that: cp into dt is equal to cv into dt plus pdv, because dq is represented by cp into dt, whereas internal energy change can be easily write like cv into dt. And of course the change in work is equal to pressure into change in volume. One more thing that should be discussed herein is that there is a same equation of change in heat with respect to change in internal energy, except the relation of specific heat at constant pressure in case of change in heat, but in case of change in internal energy, volume is always remain constant. So this is what the relation between heat, work, as well as internal energy. Now, in previous slide, we have discussed and derived one famous equation, that was the equation of gas is equal to PV is equal to RT. Just you have to differentiate this equation, so you will have the relation like that: PdV is equal to RTT. So by putting that values of PdV in equation number 3, you will have at the end equation like Cp into dt is equal to Cv into dt plus R dt. And if you are solving this equation and cancelling out the common term dt, at the end you have the relation of Cp minus Cv is equal to R. Here Cp stand of course specific heat, but suffix P represent constant pressure. So Cp is known as a specific heat at constant pressure, whereas Cv stand for the specific heat at constant volume, whereas R stand for the gas constant. So dear students, specific heat is very simple to understand. Whatever the amount of heat required to raise the temperature by 1 degree of unit mass of any substance is known as a specific heat. But whenever you are supplying heat and keeping pressure as a constant parameter, at that time, whatever you are finding the amount of heat or specific heat, it will be always represented by Cp, because we have keep the pressure as a constant parameter. But in place of pressure that you are keeping constant parameter, now if you are maintaining the volume as a constant parameter and supplying heat to that particular same unit mass of substance for the increment of 1 degree centigrade temperature, uh, the specific heat that you are getting, that will be the CV. That means specific heat at constant volume. Then after point number 4, and we are coming very much important topic, that is non-flow process. Generally, non-flow process is the process in which there will be no any kind of mass interaction across the system boundary during the process. Non-flow, that means there will be no any kind of flow uh, that is flowing inside and outside the system. That means boundary of the system is closed. In order to understand well, look at the diagram. You have given one piston and cylinder assembly, and between the space between cylinder and piston assembly, there is a ideal gas is filled inside it. So whenever you are supplying heat or receiving it from that particular gas, uh, you will not find that the gas flow rate is going inside and gas flow rate going outside. No, just you are by supplement of that particular heat, you will just getting the work. Reversely, if you are applying work to that gas, you will get the heat. But you will no longer think that there is any kind of mass interaction. That means mass is going inside and mass is going outside from that the same system of piston and cylinder. So ultimately, we can say that the non-flow process is one in which there will be no any kind of mass interaction. That means no mass going inside and no mass going outside from the system of the particular process is known as a non-flow process. So it very clear that it contains the fixed mass, because over here whatever we have filled ideal gas, it has the fixed mass like that. Of course, mass interaction is not possible in case of non-flow process. But if you are supplying heat, meanwhile you are getting work. So this is the second point that we should discuss. Third point, if you are supplying heat, receiving heat from that mass that is trapped in a particular system, thermodynamic system, of course the pressure, volume or temperature might be changed. It may be increase or decrease. And a few example of such type of non-flow process that are constant volume process is also a non-flow process, constant pressure, constant temperature, that means isothermal process, adiabatic process, that means constant entropic process, and polytropic process. So all these 5 processes are non-flow process. Once again, if you require to perform a non-flow process, there should be no any kind of mass interaction. But such a non-flow type of process can be classified based on keeping any property of gas as a constant parameter. For example, if you are keeping constant volume as a property, if you are keeping constant volume and performing the process, supplying heat and getting work, or receiving heat and absorbing work, that will be known as a constant volume process. Similarly, in place of volume, if you are keeping the parameter of pressure as a constant properties and performing the same operation, you will have the constant pressure process. Same thing can be happen with the temperature or entropy or polytropic process. So this is about a non-flow process, its types, its basic fundamentals. After that, we are going to discuss very much important first kind of the non-flow process, and that is a constant volume process. Ultimately, as what I discussed in previous slide, in order to perform all that non-flow parameter, you have to keep some parameter as a constant. So over here, we are keeping volume parameter as a constant property and performing various operations. Look at the pressure versus volume diagram. Process number 1 to 2 represent the constant volume process, because over here you can write like that: V1 is equal to V2. So we can conclude that during the process number 1 to 2, volume is remain same throughout the process. Whereas you can change, you can increase the temperature from T1 to T2, or in reverse direction, you may decrease the temperature from T2 to T1 by reducing the amount of heat. Along with it, if you are supplying or receiving heat, meanwhile you are getting more pressure. If you are supplying heat to the gas, that means that is present inside the piston and cylinder assembly, uh, if you are supplying more amount of it, the pressure of that particular gas will be increased. So below diagram of the piston and cylinder assembly represent the physical phenomena happens whenever you are keeping volume as a constant, and one side you are supplying heat. So over here we are supplying heat, so we can say that piston not move, so volume will remain constant for the process of 1 to 2, and still you are supplying more amount of heat. Of course pressure will be increased. If you are putting pressure gauge over here and you measure the pressure of gas at initial and final state, there will be a large difference. Pressure is going to be increased along with the increment in supplement of it. So this was the basic about constant volume process. It is also known as isobaric, or sorry, not isobaric, but it is also known as isochoric or isometric process. And we know that the volume or during this entire process remain constant. Now, basically, in any or each type of non-flow process, you have to focus upon 5 parameters. Number one is pressure, volume, and temperature relation. That means what happens if you are supplying heat by keeping volume of gas as a constant parameter, then what will be the relation of properties like pressure, volume, and temperature of that particular gas. Second parameter is if you are supplying it, then what will be the output in terms of work done or work output that we can receive from the gas. Third property, the change in internal energy. That means what will be the change if you are supplying heat by keeping the volume as a constant parameter. Fourth one, the calculation of heat, that means which amount of heat that you are supplying to particular gas. And last one is the change in enthalpy. That means the content of heat that may be changed during the entire process 1 to 2. So starting from the first parameter, first things, that is the relation between pressure, volume, and temperature. We know that actually by putting the value equation of state over here like PV upon T is equal to constant. That is very famous equation of state, and we have already discussed in previous slide equation of state. By applying the same equation at state 1 and state 2, you will have the P1 V1 upon T1 is equal to, you can also write that P2 V2 is equal to T2. But this is the constant volume process, so in which we are keeping the volume as a constant. So ultimately your equation will reduce and becomes P1 upon T2 is equal to P2 upon T2 is equal to constant. So we can say that the ratio of pressure and temperature in any state, either state number 1 or state number 2, will be remain same. So in general form, we can write that the P upon T is equal to constants. So this is the relation. P upon T is always remain constant irrespective of locations of states during the process number 1 to 2. After that, there is a relation the relation is of work done by the gas. Of course, you are supplying heat from here, so gas will expand or give some kind of external work W. So how much work that you are getting from the supplement of heat to the gas, this relation is established by this relation equation. Look at that work done. We know that actually work equation is equal to PdV. That means pressure into change in volume. But in this particular process, volume never change. So over here, V2 is equal to V1. So entire terms will become 0. So we can conclude that if you supplying heat by keeping volume of gas as a constant volume, you will not getting any kind of work. That means there will be a 0 work, because we know that work is equal to P into change in volume. Over here, there will be no any kind of volume change that may occur. So ultimately, it will become 0. And by putting the values of 0 over here, you will have. Now, third parameter that we require to calculate is change in internal energy. And we know that equation for the internal energy is U is equal to mCV delta T. So over here, there is a temperature difference of T2 higher temperature and T1 that is the lower temperature. So ultimately, equation become change in internal energy is equal to mCV higher temperature minus lower temperature, because in that case you are supplying heat. Of course, the temperature will be changed at state 1. It will be the initial temperature T1, and at the end of the process, that means at state 2, the temperature is T2. So real temperature at state 2 is higher than that of the T1, so T2 should subtract from the T1. After that, fourth parameter that we require to calculate, that is amount of heat that you have supplied to perform process number 1 to 2. So over here, as per the first of thermodynamic, you can write the Q1 to 2 process is equal to change in internal energy plus work that you receive from this process 1 to 2. So ultimately, we know that uh, there is not any kind of work that we are getting from the process number 1 to 2, because this process actually perform at constant volume. So work done is always equal to 0, that we have already seen. So ultimately, uh, Q that the heat is supplied is always equal to change in internal energy. So by putting the values of du over here, you will have the heat supplied is equal to mCp T2 minus T1. So in case of the constant volume process, the conclusion is like that. In constant volume process, heat is always equal to change in internal energy. That is the relation between heat supplied and change in internal energy. And last one is the change in enthalpy, and enthalpy relation that is becomes is capital H is equal to mCp higher temperature minus a lower temperature. That is enthalpy change, or we can say that by performing process number 1 to 2, from state 1 to 2, whatever the change that is being made during the process 1 to 2 in terms of enthalpy is equal to mCp T2 minus T1. So, dear student, entire lecture in which especially we have taken about very topics and subtopics. We have discussed a lot on it. We have started with vapor case and perfect case. After that, we have also discussed about various law like Boyle's Charles law as well as combined gas law. We have also derived the relation like equation of gas at the end. We have also derived the relation for specific heat. We have discussed on the non-flow process, and particularly we have discussed in detail for the constant volume or isochoric process at the end. So I hope that this lecture will provide uh, many and many directive information, especially in the subject of basics of mechanical engineering. Kindly stay tuned with us. If you are finding any difficulty, let me inform. We will have the solution. Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind of attendance to this my video lecture. Thank you.